Hi, I'm Mark Scherer. I'm the CEO and founder of Encompass Life and the host of the Wellness Revolution podcast. And today we have a special guest. Her name is Ashley Rocha, and she's with LadyWell. And what she's doing is has some products that help women with their hormones, with their periods, with their, really overall well-being. Because if you're down a week or two a month, doing that, it affects all areas of your life, relationship, money, everything. So I'm really enthusiastic to hear what you're doing and for you to share with our audience. Welcome to the show, Ashley.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You're welcome. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I am Ashley Rocha. I started LadyWell a few years back. We've been in development phase for a very long time. But the reason why I started LadyWell was because of my own hormonal health journey. From the day I went through puberty, I was thrown into this cycle of once a month for a week a month. Had this terrible mood swings, I had anxiety, depression, really painful periods. I was taking up to 20 Advil a day
Whoa.
at the advice of my doctor, which was just like too much Advil to take, like for an extended period of time.
Mhm.
And I had all the symptoms of PMS, but it was really like PMS like amped up. And I had this for about 2 decades until my mid 30s when I started to try to have kids. And I wasn't getting as pregnant as easily as I hoped. And at that point, I was like, okay, there's something going on with my hormones. I've been really ignoring this for like 2 decades of my life, and it has impacted my life. But it's really easy to ignore PMS and PMDD because society tells you like PMS is normal. So I ignored it, but when I wanted to have a baby, I was like, okay, I have to look at my health. And luckily, at the same time, I had been studying herbalism, and herbalism really related to women's health. So I started looking to my own studies, to the plant world, to solve these issues because the doctor, when I went to the doctor, they prescribed hormonal birth control or SSRIs, which are antidepressants.
Right.
And that really just didn't work for me and masked the issue. And I knew that wasn't the right way to solve it. It wasn't solving my root cause. So I looked to the plant world. I found all these amazing herbs and supplements that really helped me. And I really crafted something that was like unique to my body and that worked for me. And then I started sharing with my friends because other people were having very similar product problems. It wasn't unique to me and it really worked for them too. And so that's why I started LadyWell because I found solutions for my PMDD, my PMS, and eventually got pregnant, had 2 kids. So it all worked really well for me, and I wanted to bring that to other women so we don't have to struggle with these hormonal health imbalances for our whole lives or at all, because there are solutions out there, and there's also a lack of education on the subject. People just don't really, for example, don't know what PMDD is, like don't really
Me
understand.
either. Me either. So,
Yeah, and I can enlighten you with the difference between PMS and PMDD. PMS is something that we all commonly know about, like, breast tenderness, like a little bit of mood swings, some painful periods, bloating. It can range from mild to severe, but like most of the time it's kind of mild, you're just kind of eating chocolate bars or whatever during your cycle. PMDD is PMS on steroids, so it's like really high mood swings. You are quick to anger. It's the emotional symptoms really amped up. And it also has the physical symptoms of the traditional PMS. So it really can impact women's lives. And PMDD really wasn't recognized by mainstream medicine up until I think it was about 10 years ago that they added it to the library of diagnosis, and which is really good because now people can get help for it and it's recognized, and it's not something that like you're told just like you're fine, you just have a little bit of PMS, like go home. And now doctors are saying, okay, PMDD is something that we will look at seriously, and it does affect women's lives. So yeah, so luckily there's a lot of conversation lately or in the last few years around women's health and hormones in general, because hormones were just never really spoken about. It was something that was stigmatized a little bit in society to speak about, especially around women. So things are changing for the good, and I'm really happy that my company can be part of that. And I want to keep on putting out education around hormones and just spreading the word about it, because people still don't know like necessarily what perimenopause is compared to menopause, and all these things are new terminology a lot for a lot of people.
mhm. So what's the difference between perimenopause and menopause?
Perimenopause is the transition to menopause, so it can last like about 10 years for most people. Menopause is marked by 12 months without your period. So that's when you're officially in menopause. So it's like really like maybe a day, and then you go into menopause because you haven't had your period for 12 months.
When,
Perimenopause is that whole transition. It's like reverse puberty, it's often called.
when does that occur in most women? Is there a particular age when
Yeah,
that occurs?
it's typically in your 40s. It can start in a woman's 30s for some people, but it's typically in your 40s. And it's kind of hard to identify sometimes because it can feel like PMS symptoms to begin with. But I think a trademark of perimenopause is we all talk about hot flashes a lot with menopause. Hot flashes is definitely something that you will recognize as distinct to perimenopause. People get a lot of brain fog, like you walk into a room and you forget why you're there type of thing. And then
Hmm.
you kind of have like a general sense of blahness. You start gaining weight around your stomach, and you can be working out the same as you used to work out, but it just doesn't hit the same. Like it's just your body is just not responding the same way. There's a lot of symptoms to perimenopause, and it's pretty unique to each person. But those are the more common ones, I would say. And like mood swings, like just kind of like anger or anxiety kind of mood swings.
Hmm.
And it's a little bit hard because a lot of women are in the phase where they have children at that age and like maybe young children or, children that are like age 7. But um so you don't get a lot of sleep during this time because your sleep's interrupted from perimenopause. But you just don't know, like, is this because I have kids? Like, am I just like stressed out because I have children? A lot of the times it can be like linked back to your hormones. And I think it's really wise for women to try to take that space to be like, okay, is this because of like my lifestyle? Is there something going on in my body? Like, do I feel distinctly different than I used to feel 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Because
Right.
then you can start creating space for reflection. And then once you like kind of identify that there's something going on in my body, then it gives you more space to, fix it with supplements or lifestyle changes.
Right. Yeah, there's something going on, and everybody goes through it, and there's ways to address I guess the issues with them. They used to do hormonal replacements, and they would do stuff like that when people were going through menopause.
They still do, and that's becoming more popular these days because now we have bioidenticals for hormone replacement therapy, which is really helpful women in perimenopause if it's right for you. It usually can like change the way you feel like pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a really good option if women feel like they're really like in the depths of perimenopause. They can go to their doctor and discuss that with them.
Gotcha. So the products from LadyWell, do you have to go to get a prescription for it, or
No, these are natural, well, it's vitamins, adaptogens, herbs, functional mushrooms. So they're a really holistic approach to women's health, but they're supplements. So you
Mhm.
can just buy them online.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah. And so the way we create the formulas is we work with naturopathic doctors, nutritionists, regular doctors to create a formula that comes from a lot of different lenses. So it really combines Eastern and Western medicine.
Hmm.
Like as I was saying, I went to the doctor and they just prescribed hormonal birth control. Like a lot of Western medicine is really focused on maybe just vitamins and like pharmaceuticals, to be honest.
Right.
So we pull in the theories and the wisdom of Eastern medicine and bring in those herbs and adaptogens and like really quality superfoods to support women because they have been proven through clinical studies, those ingredients, and have been used for thousands and thousands of years successfully.
Right. Yeah. And they say alternative, but really the way we're designed to be able to use plants to treat ourselves.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so your business model is everything sold online? Are you in stores as well? You do retail?
Yeah, we're going to be moving to retail later this year, but right now we're just D2C, direct to consumer on our website, and then we're also sold on Amazon. And our website's getladywell.com, and that's where you can find our supplements. Yeah.
And about so the products women are working with, is it like you take them the whole time? Like you said, you started when you were a kid, you were having issues. So is this something that once you get on it, you continue to do it as a supplement, or is there some point in time?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, it depends. We have targeted life stage supplements. So we have things for PMS and PMDD. We have supplements for fertility, prenatals, perimenopause. So when we're looking at something like PMS or PMDD, the idea here is we want to change your body and treat the root cause. Like we don't want to just mask it with like an Advil, it just takes away your pain, but your pain's still there. We really want to fix the underlying hormonal imbalance symptoms. So the thought is that you will not be taking this for the rest of your life. Like you will take it, you should, it depends on each woman's body. For me, it took about like 6 months to a year to really recover from like 2 decades of PMS and PMDD. So ideally, it won't be longer than a year. But you also have to think about lifestyle changes too. Like you can't just take a supplement, and this applies to any supplement ever made. You can't just take a supplement and like be super stressed out, like have a really poor diet, never exercise. You really should be looking at your life holistically and making a change in that way if you want long-term success with your health.
Yep. Like going to do yoga, going to do a detoxing yoga, and then going to hit a bar right afterwards. Detox and retox, detox and retox.
Yes.
You're just treading water.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, it does take lifestyle changes, and it's amazing. And to me, a lot of people have been conditioned to believe that life's painful and this is a struggle, and they kind of pride themselves on how much pain they can live through, and then of course then they get tied into who can complain the most. They go out to the wine bars. You think
Yeah.
you're having trouble with your kid? Let me tell you about. You think you're having trouble with your man? Let me tell you about my man. You think your periods are bad? Let me tell you about my pit. My periods. And they try to keep one upping each other. And at some point in time, doing that, you're going to burn yourself out, and it's time to how compete on how healthy you can be, compete on how much love and playfulness and peace you can have in your life, and it's a whole different way of doing life. Just find that
Yeah.
switch and flip it.
I love
And
that. That's totally true. Yeah, we all kind of, I think especially for women, like we're kind of conditioned to just like a general sense of feeling just unwell or just feeling blah or muted and dull. We all put up with. I think we're just conditioned to think that that's how we need to be. Like we should feel tired all the time and stressed out, and that's just life. But you shouldn't really be plagued with fatigue. You shouldn't be unhappy. You can make changes to really
yeah,
thrive, live the life you want to live.
yeah,
You should be living.
yeah, and their feelings are hormones. It's in your
Yeah,
body.
yeah.
The body produces a totally different chemical content when you're happy, and then when you're sad. And if your person stays in that sad or stress or anger too long, it's toxic to the system, so it will destroy the body over time. Destroys the
Yes.
mind too. I mean, destroys the cognitive abilities of the individual as well.
Yeah, if you
So,
don't take care of your hormones, it will lead to long-term health problems, and that's just not something you want. Because once
yeah,
you're sick, it's really hard to come back from that.
yeah, yeah. I agree. We're working with some people. I'm working with a guy right now. I have my day job, and I have the podcast,
Yeah.
and a guy who was he had really severe cognitive decline where ask him a question. He's, I don't know, I can't remember. And just sit there and cry. Couldn't dress himself. Couldn't find his way home. Couldn't go into the grocery store and find his way out. So him and his wife were. I mean, it was really tough for him. And she didn't think he was going to be able to come back. We started working with him, and now he's driving, taking care, dressing himself, reading, writing, all that stuff. And so for him to be able to come back from where he was is amazing.
That
And
is amazing. It's a great story.
yeah, really fun. So, how do people get in touch with you, and what type of specials do you have in your? Do you have like a get to try us out product or anything like that on your website, or how do
Yeah.
you do business?
So you can find us at getladywell.com or on social. We, put out education at getladywell is our handle.
Mhm.
And then you can shop on our website for where you're at in your life stage. So whether you're trying to get pregnant, we have fertility boosting supplements, which are really helpful that you should be taking 6 months in advance to trying to get pregnant. That will really get your egg health and your body in order so you can have better chances of getting pregnant and staying pregnant. And then we have our daily hormone balance, which is for PMS and PMDD, and really it's a catch-all for like any woman with hormonal imbalance symptoms from
Mhm.
reproductive years through perimenopause.
Mhm.
So just check out our website. We have a great line of products depending on what your needs are. And then we're offering 20% off for listeners of your podcast. And the code
Hmm.
is Wellness Revolution 20.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no
That's really
problem.
cool. And are you still taking I imagine you're still taking your products?
Yes, I take my LadyWell every day, and I still take I have two kids, but I still take my prenatals because I think they're just better than regular
Gotcha.
vitamins. Yeah,
And you look like you're in your 20s, but I can deduce you're in your 30s somewhere.
that's very
And
nice. I'm 40 now. I just turned 40, so
did you really? You
yeah.
look great.
Thank you.
So are you starting to take um the the premenopause stuff too, or
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start transitioning and taking more perimenopause specific one because yeah, I'm at that age now. I don't really
right,
have the symptoms yet, so I'm not feeling it yet, but I'm sure it will kick in eventually. It happens to all of us. Any woman that's lucky enough to live this long will experience perimenopause at some point.
right. I know a lot of women who are in their 50s are going through it. So it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it can last in your 50s. So it just depends on where you started, yeah. And it also depends on when you got your period for the first time as a young girl, because your cycle is just pushed back that much or started earlier. It just is very unique to each body.
yeah. I know friends of mine, their daughters started. Some of them started at 9, some of them started at 13, 14. So yeah, quite a different swing there too as well. I'm
Yeah.
like 9? You're kidding me?
That's yeah, like a 9-year-old is so young and they don't even know what to do with themselves.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's
So, all right.
crazy.
So, Ashley, uh, I do have one question I follow up with everybody on before getting off the podcast. And my question to you is, what do you love about life?
What do I love about life? Oh, I love just being outside and being in the sun and just taking it all in because I think I'm happiest when I'm just like sunbathing, relaxing, like hearing the nature, the outside world, and just taking a moment of like quiet because life is busy and there's all these constant conversations all the time, and it's really hard to kind of declutter that. And it is like meditation. So I find the most happiness in spaces of quiet and reflection and just taking a moment to just breathe. So.
Finding the peace and simplicity.
Yes, simplicity. That's
Mm.
less is more in life, I think, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes life gets so busy, you lose
Yeah,
sight of the beauty of life.
exactly.
Awesome. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you
And
so much.
I trust you're going to have success with your company and change a lot of lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I
You're,
appreciate it.
you're welcome.